Yeah, welcome all. So today we are going to discuss about events in action with Spinnaker, Tekton and Keptn. Yeah, so we are here. I am Jalander Ramagiri, software engineer at Ericsson Software Technology, and I am a member of CDEvents, and we are contributing to Spinnaker as well. Yeah. And Adam?
I'm Adam. I'm also a software engineer at Ericsson Software Technology.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah. So coming to the agenda that we have today to discuss. So we'll talk about a little bit like in general what is continuous integration and deployment, just an introduction, and we'll talk about what is interoperability and versus integration. So we'll see like how different tools can communicate using interoperability or integration, which is best. Like we can see with some examples, and we'll see what is CDEvents and how using CDEvents we can communicate different CI/CD tools within the CI/CD ecosystem, and we'll see events in action with CI/CD tools, and finally the demo and references. Like we have a demo like where we are actually building a simple application where and trying to deploy application like all with different CI/CD tools, all will talk to each other using CDEvents. So we'll have a cool live demo with that. So I'll ask Adam to take over here and talk about continuous integration and deployment and how events.
Yep. So I'm sure a lot of you already know what CI/CD is, continuous integration and deployment. So it's just a process of continuous planning, coding, building, testing, releasing, deploying, operating, monitoring. But it's a method to deliver your apps in an automated way, efficiently and safely. And there's many different tools involved at each of these stages that we'll go through a few example ones now in a minute. So this is kind of what a general workflow would look like. First, I'll explain the CDF, the Continuous Delivery Foundation. It's an open source community. It hosts open source projects mostly related to CI/CD projects. So general workflow will look like kind of you'll build, you'll deploy in staging, you'll run some tests, you'll have a quality gate, and you can then deploy in production. So for example, you might build in Tekton and then deploy in staging also with Tekton, run some tests on it using Jenkins test suites. You might have a quality gate then with Keptn, and then deploy into production using Spinnaker. So just to explain interoperability versus integration. So integration is more like, so a few weeks ago I went to Spain, and there were a couple times I needed to use Google Translate to communicate with some people. That's kind of integration, whereas my trip to the US so far, I'm from Ireland, has been, everyone I've talked to has spoken English to me. So that's more like interoperability. They speak the same language, and they use a common language in order to communicate with each other. So Tekton can communicate with Keptn speaking the same language, whereas integration often uses glue code, kind of like a self-invented systems in order to link these two tools together. In order to enable this, we use events. So events enable interoperability between the different systems and tools. And we integrate this using CloudEvents, which is a specification for describing event data in a common way, consistently, accessibility, and portably. And this is hosted by the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. But using CloudEvents with CI/CD tools is a bit dicey. It has different formats and kind of inconsistent semantics, specifically for CI/CD tools. So we use CDEvents to accomplish this within CI/CD tools. So just back to Jalander.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Adam. Like Adam said, like here we have CDEvents to enable interoperability between different CI/CD tools. There you can see, right, Tekton, Spinnaker, Jenkins, Keptn. But the cloud event has a different format to comply with the CA/CD specific context. So that's why we have a CDEvents. So this is the new project under CD Foundation, and it is a common specification for continuous delivery events, and this is based out of CloudEvent again. So the event format looks something like this. So this is the one. It can be, we can say this is like a a CD event, and this has a specifications that is related to continuous integration and development. We can see that the black portion of the text is something. So we can say that is the CA/CD specific context fit in CloudEvent. So this is the we can call as like CD event, right? So we have in CD events, like we have a special interest group formed. So that is mainly focused on the creating a common vocabulary. So the common vocabulary is divided into these 4 specifications. So we can see that core, source code, version control, continuous integration and deployment. So each specification is having like different event types. The example is shown above is like type of one of the types of artifact. So that comes under continuous integration specification. So, and we have many types that CD event can produce, like pipeline run started, task run finished. If you check the core part, so like we have different levels, like wherein we have CA/CD specifications that we can describe as CD events. So, yeah, and we have like some SDKs supported as well, Go and Java SDK. And using these SDKs, different tools or systems can integrate with CD events, so that they can produce and consume CD events using these SDKs. And the community is towards building more SDKs, and we have like Python and other SDKs is coming on the way. Yeah. So, and what exactly the CD event is? So CD event can express something, a record, a data record that is specific to CA/CD context. So we can say something like a CD event can produce artifact is packaged, right? So our pipeline run started, like I explained in previous slide. So we have different types of CD events. So that is related to pipeline, test, or we can say something like service deployed, or artifact is published. So these are like different types of events that it can produce. Like these are some of the types. So that many comes from the specification, different event types we can define. And using these events, like different platforms, CA/CD platforms or tools can integrate using these events. And these are some companies engaged with events that are currently working with. And so, yeah, this is how the CD events looks, and it can produce the events the way the specification is described. And using this, like we can enable interoperability using CD events between different CA/CD tools. And like Adam mentioned, like now systems can speak the same language. So that's the CD event. And using that CD event, tools can communicate with each other, right? Like we don't have any glue code here. Like Jenkins is talking to Tekton, and Tekton is talking to Spinnaker. So we will not deal with any integration part here, but it's all interoperability using CD events. Yeah, so the main part comes in the presentation, events in action with CA/CD tools. So we have a POC developed to see like how these tools will integrate with each other. So we have Tekton, Keptn, Spinnaker, and Knative eventing. So we have like Tekton to build some cloud native solution for building CA/CD pipelines. And so in the POC, we are using Tekton to build an artifact, right? So it will build an artifact and notify some other tool to proceed from there. And we have a Keptn here. So this is like a lifecycle management, and it orchestrates different CA/CD tools. And so we can have some quality checks here before deploying some applications into productions, and we can have some sequence to run within Keptn. And we have Spinnaker, so that is known. So here we are, like multi-cloud continuous delivery platform, so we can run the pipelines. So in the POC, we are actually using this to deploy the application that is built by Tekton. So Spinnaker will deploy that in production environment. And we have Knative eventing. So this is the one used as a core part. This is used to enable event-driven applications. and this works as a publisher-subscriber model. We can subscribe. So this will basically have a trigger mentions here. So the components can subscribe to different triggers, and so that they can get the events whenever it happens in the Knative eventing. So we can see more about like what Knative eventing and these tools communicate with each other. So this is how it is. The functional diagram looks. The middle you see like it's Knative eventing. So it has a cloud event broker in the middle. Yeah, so it has many triggers configured right now. So these triggers works like a subscriptions to other CI/CD tools within this like POC that we are going to show in the demo. And so let's say here we have a Tekton. So Tekton is subscribed to that one of those triggers. So whenever this type of trigger, this is the CD event of type trigger. So this type of trigger happens, so the Tekton gets a notification, and Tekton runs some jobs or doing some stuff, and it can produce the event like once the job is finished or saying. So that can be received by Cloud Event Broker again, and Cloud Event Broker is the one like holds all the triggers, and whoever subscribed to it, and they will get notified back to the other CI/CD tool that we have. So if you can see here, we have Keptn here, and so Keptn also registered or subscribed to that type of trigger, and Keptn get notifies whenever that type of trigger arises in the Cloud Events Broker. And so Keptn also capable of producing a CD event, right? So, and here we have the final Spinnaker. So Spinnaker has a component called CD event controller. So that is the responsible for producing and consuming CD events. So we have a trigger. So that will be subscribed by Spinnaker CD event controller. So whenever that type of trigger arrives to the Cloud Events Broker, Spinnaker get notification and runs the pipeline and do any job that inside the Spinnaker that we wanted to, and it produce the CD event back to Cloud Event Broker. So they can like, so this goes on, it's like different CI/CD tools can produce and consume these CD event, and they can do the things without, like with an interoperability manner. So yeah, so here down we have the Cloud Event Player. So this is just to visualize all the events that is going in and out through Knative eventing. So this is what we can show in the demo even. So we can show in the Cloud Event Player and Tekton, Keptn, Spinnaker, how they communicate with each other. So we have a live demo. Hope that works, yeah. So before going to that, so we will just explain how the flow it is so that it is easy to understand. So we have 3 components here like CI/CD tools, I can say, Tekton, Keptn, and Spinnaker. So these 3 tools will communicate with each other. Now we are building an application. It's like a simple application that's we are going into a stage where we do some quality check using Keptn, and finally Spinnaker deploys into production. So these are 3 steps that we can see in the demo. Let's say we are using here Tekton to build an artifact. So user triggers a build in Tekton, and once the build is successful, the Tekton produces an artifact packaged CD event, and that is subscribed by Keptn. So you can see that Keptn gets notification, and once the Keptn gets notification, so Keptn runs some manual sequence to approve the artifact, and it produces an artifact published CD event, and that is subscribed by Spinnaker here. And once that event gets in, the Spinnaker runs a pipeline, a deploy pipeline. So once the deploy pipeline is green, it's success. So it will send a service deployed event, and that event is again subscribed by Keptn to marks the sequence as successful. So we can see this in demo. Yep, I will share my screen. A little hard to keep. You want to run? I'll just stop it. You can do 2 things with, yeah. CDEvents POC. Yeah. Sorry. so this is the, sorry. So, yeah, you can run one. So this is the pipeline that we are going to trigger. So this is the build artifact pipeline that runs in Tekton. Yeah, so spin_demo. Yeah, so we are just building an application by from this repo, and this is the branch I just wanted to put here. Spin demo. Yeah, it's built, just it's builds a Docker image, and it's pushing into this kind registry. I think once the build is started, we can see the running logs here and how that is pulling the source code from the repository that I mentioned here. And yeah, so here you can see the running logs of building an artifact. So we can also see in the dashboard of Tekton. So probably that we have it here. So this is the Tekton dashboard where we can see the pipeline running in state. Yeah, the status of the pipeline is running right now. So we can also see like what is the running log says. It's actually pulling the source code from the repository and building a sample image. It's just application that it builds and push to the local kind registry. So we can see like yeah, similar way we have here the Keptn dashboard. So this has like one manual sequence that is added to approve the artifact once it gets, and we have a the Spinnaker dashboard as well, and we can see the deploy configuration has done here. So in the Spinnaker, so we have so to take the latest image, whatever is built by Tekton, and deploy as a Spinnaker service, so that we can see all the flow once the Tekton build is finished. So we can see the Tekton build status. Yeah, it's green now, it's success. And the console also we can see the Tekton build, and it builds this image and push to local kind registry. We can match with the SHA ID of this image to make sure everything is properly deployed, right? So yeah, so here we get the cloud event player that I said, like it has a visualization of all the events that is going in and out. So mostly, yeah, so we have artifact packaged. So the pipeline runs started and finished is from the Tekton pipelines. Once the Tekton pipeline is finished, we could see the artifact packaged event is sent. So this event is actually subscribed by Keptn. So we should see Keptn should get a sequence now, so notification. So here you go. So the Keptn gets a notification saying for an approval. So this is the SHA image ID. So I want to verify and approve for the deploy in production basically, so we can assume. So this is the image, it's 2913 ending with. Is this the one that I want to approve? It's 2913, so I can go ahead and approve. It's just a simple manual check, but nothing to do with more checks. But what I can do, like I get the notification once the artifact packaged is done. So Keptn is registered, subscribed for that event, artifact packaged. So I get this notification, and once this is approved, the deployment jobs runs in. So we can see in this Spinnaker pipeline, no jobs running right now. So this is the one we can approve. So once this is approved, we could see the pipeline in Spinnaker running. And we could also see the cloud event player, what events are going in. So we could see the, yes, it's actually, yeah, we can see the CD run pipeline started. So that is coming from Spinnaker. The pipeline of Spinnaker is started, is what it is saying. So you could see that pipeline is success. So we could see an event soon saying that pipeline run is finished and the service deployed. Event will be sent by Spinnaker. And we can see also in Keptn, so the delivery is started and the deployment is actually in progress. So this is handled by Tekton and Spinnaker together. And we could see this is what is deployed actually. So so we could see the delivery is marked as success by Keptn. So because Spinnaker again notified back to Keptn saying that I'm done with my deploy. So you can mark this deploy status as successful. So here it says, the Keptn says deployment is successful. So we can verify even, is that the right one Spinnaker is deployed? Yeah, so it's actually deploying in a Kubernetes pod. The Spinnaker deployment is installed, in 92 seconds back. So we can see that is up and running 92 seconds back. So even we can see, is this the image that is deployed, just be built by Tekton? I just missed pod. There you go. Oh. Having difficult managing with one hand? Sorry. Yeah, so you can see this image is the one it's pulled from the kind registry. It's ending with 42913 is the one built by Tekton and deployed by Spinnaker. And in the middle we have orchestrator, that's the Keptn. Right, so we can even launch this application for a simple. I just need to do port forward here because sorry, bear with me. Yeah, so I can just access this application here that it's running. Yeah, so this is the image we just built and it's deployed here. And so we could also see the events also here in the CloudEvents player, so that we could see the CD service deployed event is the one that is produced by Spinnaker. So this is the event JSON format that it will look like. So yeah, and we have the application deployed and running. That's about the demo, and we have some links here that talks about like what CDEvents and the community links and interoperability and events, different CI/CD tools. So we can, I think we have the CDEvents page. So there we have like our Slack and GitHub for contributions. So we are in CDEvents Slack and Spinnaker Slack as well. And if any questions, we can reach out there. And any questions here? Yes. We have only one mic here.
How are you handling sort of trust issues, like validation that, Tekton receives a message that's actually from the original subscriber?
Yeah, now in this POC, like the part has taken Tekton only is the source of the image starting. So maybe we can integrate like more to upfront for the Tekton, right? So it may be the JIT source when any check-ins happens. So that's what we wanted to listen for. The Tekton will listen for. So if any source code change happened or any change updated in the project, so that's the source of it comes, and Tekton can trigger the build on that specific event. Yeah, for this POC purpose, like we are starting with the Tekton and user runs the build manually. Yep. I hope that answers the question. Yep. Yes. Which exactly? I didn't get the question, sorry.
This one or is the one before?
The before one, is it?
This one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. We have too many animations, sorry. Your question is here in this slide, is it?
Well, just like, yeah, where does CDEvents live in Spinnaker? Like, is it only in Echo?
Yeah, maybe in this slide. So we see like the CDEvents controller is the one. So we have like endpoints created here. So that is the, so where I will show you in one thing. So that will clarify the your answer, I guess. Like, see. So we have triggers. Yeah. So if you see, these are the type of events that we have. Like events broker is the one that we talk about Knative eventing, and these are the API endpoints that will be mapped to. I mean, like whenever artifact is published to Spinnaker comes in, let's say example. So we have this API endpoint created inside Spinnaker eco component. So yeah, so some exactly, yeah, yeah. So even we can see this like how the types are mentioned here. So this is like simple the filter mechanism that we have to listen to specific type of events. So if you see here, this is the broker that we are using, and this is the filter type. So whenever this is happening, so and Spinnaker gets a notification on this URI. So that's the justification.
Any other questions?
This is really cool, and I think focusing on interoperability is sort of kicking us right at a real hard problem that everybody is building systems. Want to mention right away. In your interoperability diagram, you had all the systems, but one missing system there, of course, was GitHub, which is a really important citizen in your ecosystem. And of course, GitHub is where the application developers are going to live, where they're going to want to consume all of these CD events. So what's your solution?
So I think, yeah, so the POC starting, we are having like one by one components integrated with this. So right now, I think initially we can say the first release of POC is developed by community. So that is having Tekton and Keptn. It's like only that tools are communicating with each other. So now this POC is like enhanced to add Spinnaker. And so we are like in planning to have like more tools added to this POC so that we can prove many tools can work together in the entire CI/CD flow. So, but this is just starting. Like we are trying to integrate more and more tools. Yeah.
Structurally, what would you create a GitHub app or something? This is where interoperability might have to think it's more of an integration, less of an interoperability. Because GitHub isn't going to just start speaking.
I can't hear properly.
So you're asking how we're going to integrate or make GitHub interoperable with this system, kind of? You're better qualified to answer this.
Yes. Yeah.
It's going to have an issue where it's like, which dashboard are your different kinds of stakeholders going to actually consume useful information from? When you start giving some thought to how you want to present, put in more dashboards each time.
Which dashboards?
So,
The complication of having multiple different dashboards.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally do. I'm just wondering if that's on their horizon. If you guys just put this in, it's very early, right? Like, these are the problems you're going to next.
Okay.
No, but I think it's definitely on the horizon of the growth is the software. And it was just then of like tools that allow you to visualize your workflows and the data that you're collecting in a consistent way across it. That's kind of the vision, yeah. But that's kind of a visualization, of course. I mean, with the Tekton dashboard and the Spinnaker dashboard, you have like interactivity, so you can actually trigger things. But from like the visualization point of view, get the idea that once you have the data in a consistent format, you can see it all the cool stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, India.
I think we're out of time now. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.